Welcome to an all-new episode of Like Nobody's Business. I'm Mary Beth Sewald at the Vegas Chamber. The Vegas Chamber recently went to Washington, D.C. for our annual fly-in. We heard from congressional leaders, leaders in business, and our members about what shapes Southern Nevada and the impact we can make when we let our voices be heard and the changes we want to see in Nevada. I had the honor of speaking with some policymakers and game changers while in D.C., and here's part one of the D.C. Fly-In special on Like Nobody's Business. I'm Mary Beth Sewald, President and CEO of the Vegas Chamber, and we are proud to be here at our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. on the Vegas Chamber Fly-In. And I am so honored today to have with me our guest, Congresswoman Susie Lee. Congresswoman, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you and congratulations. Record-breaking fly-in. It's exciting to have so many people here from Las Vegas.
Thank you so much. We joke and we say that we get to see more Nevadans in D.C. than in Nevada.
That's true. That is true.
And I know you mentioned in your comments that you're always glad to have so many Nevadans come to your office here in D.C.
Absolutely. You know, what's so important is being able to hear on the ground what type of legislation, what's having an impact back home, what we need to be working on. So it's always good to have Southern Nevada come into my office and chat through their priorities here in Washington.
And the good news is Nevadans aren't very shy or anything like that, so I'm sure you get to hear quite a bit.
That is true.
You know, you commented on Chaos Week, sort of joking, but sort of not. You know, we're looking at a looming or impending government shutdown.
Yeah, I framed it in the terms of we have just done this economic recovery from the pandemic. Las Vegas is going gangbusters. We have so many opportunities with the Inflation Reduction Act, clean energy investments, the bipartisan infrastructure bill, all these incredible opportunities. But the most biggest threat to our economy is this government shutdown and the trickle-down effects that it will have. You know, for instance, the VA will be open, the clinics will be open, but if you're looking to process a benefit, you know, we passed the PACT Act to give presumptive eligibility to all these veterans and who call Southern Nevada home, who were exposed to toxic fumes from the burn pits. They're not going to be able to process those benefits right now. There's going to be further delay. The Small Business Administration will not process loans for small businesses. The Department of Transportation will put on hold its federal highway transit grants. When you think about the Housing Authority, the CDC, as we embark on this new variant of COVID, the flu, we're coming up on flu season. They're going to curtail all of their efforts to do surveillance to help our local health agencies. We have such a strong, you know, defense industry in Southern Nevada. Many of those jobs are done through contractors. And while we protect federal employees who might be furloughed, or if they continue working, that they'll get their back pay, contractors don't have that same type of protection. And we saw, you know, tens of thousands of contractors go without pay the last government shutdown. So very worrisome what's on the horizon. And like I said, we've seen this playbook before. We saw it in 2013. We saw it when I was first elected. And the only way we get out of this is bipartisanship and working together.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Do you think this shutdown is avoidable at all? And if so, bipartisanship, what does that look like?
Listen, I wish I could get inside Kevin McCarthy's head and make that prediction, but I know, like I said, I'm the vice chair of the Problem Solvers Caucus. I'm leaving here to go work on a framework that we hope could be something that some Democrats could support, and as well as Republicans, to get us out of this mess. But I don't know if McCarthy wants to extract more pain before that happens. As you know, he has this threat of the motion to vacate on his leadership. I think the fear is that if he starts negotiating with Democrats too early, then there will be a motion to vacate him as leader. So I wish I could make a prediction. It's not looking good, especially after yesterday, where they could not even pass a procedural vote to bring the Department of Defense appropriations bill to the floor. I mean, that's traditionally been a bipartisan issue. And so, we're going to continue to work behind the scenes and know that there will be a time for a framework to come forward to get a solution that will be bipartisan.
Well, and thank you for all your work with the Problem Solvers Caucus. I know that's been instrumental. Do you think you'll be able to come up with something that folks can
I
agree
hope
on?
so, yeah. And I'm also the whip of the New Dems Caucus. And so we have a group that's working with the New Dems Caucus, which is the largest coalition. It's the largest caucus in the Democratic side. And we're working with the Republican Study Group, which is the largest, I wouldn't call them a caucus, a coalition on the Republican side. So we have two different groups that are trying to work together. We have 62 members in the Problem Solvers Caucus. The New Dems Coalition has 98 Democrats alone. I'm not really sure how many are in the Republican Study Group. So, you got to build numbers. You got to get middle number that can pull because you're going to lose people on both the left and the right.
Well, and just switching gears a little bit, you mentioned also the Mobile Healthcare Act that just passed. You seem very proud of that.
Yeah, listen, first of all, it's just sort of like a common sense thing. We have grants that go to our federally qualified health centers, and the grants were defined that they could only go to brick and mortar. But we know, especially in Southern Nevada with our transportation, that so many people just can't access the transportation. So being able to just redefine that grant money so that it can be used to buy and purchase and retrofit mobile health units so you can get out into the neighborhoods. Again, that's one example. I just introduced a piece of legislation with David Joyce. This is really important to Southern Nevada and Nevada. It's about advancement in appraisals. The Department of Interior, whenever you go to do a land swap, you need to have an appraisal so the federal government gets the fair market value. And you've heard it from your members that the holdup that happens in getting things processed through the Department of Interior. And one of the things is this appraisal. My bill will just say if you are certified to be an appraiser in one state, one jurisdiction, you can do it in another. Right now, that's something that's holding us up. And again, a lot of these things are just like common sense. They don't really cost any money, but they give us the flexibility to address a problem that holds us back from economic development in Nevada.
Another thing you mentioned that caught my attention was your involvement in the Congressional Task Force on AI.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that a little bit, because AI has been really, cyber security is big. It's been, we've had problems in Las Vegas with MGM and different properties. So what's your involvement in AI?
Yeah, so as part of the New Dem Coalition, we have a working group on AI. As I told you, I graduated from Carnegie Mellon University. I've been working closely with the dean of my graduate school, the Hines School of Public Policy. They have a block center that is set up to deal with AI. So just trying to bring those resources here to Washington. Most importantly, we need to educate people on exactly what AI is. I mean, so many people hear what it is, they don't really understand it. But then you got to deal with the privacy and security issues, verifying authenticity. But most important, where I'm very concerned, is the impact on workforce and what it's going to mean for education, not just higher ed, but K to 12 education. We're teaching our kids STEM earlier and understanding the type of skills that an AI-fueled economy is going to require. And then work with our higher ed system, as Dr. Pollard said earlier, to make sure we're developing those certificates and training the workforce of the future. I don't think any of us can really imagine what the type of impact it's going to have. It's going to increase productivity incredibly. There's going to be new opportunities, and we're going to have a shift in what our workforce does. And I think, like I said, Nevada is nimble. We are small. We have leaders that work together. with your leadership in the chamber, and I think we have an opportunity to really look at how we educate our workforce and be out in front and take advantage of this new AI-fueled economy.
It is so important. It's kind of hard to wrap our arms around the true, impacts of what might happen, but we sure appreciate your leadership on this
Thank
and
you.
everything else that you're doing for all of us on behalf of the state. So thank you for your work and your leadership.
Thank you. Thank you.
7 at 7 is a newscast built for your smartphone. It's a 7-minute newscast available every weekday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. at lvrj.com. We don't waste your time, and we give you the day's top stories.
We at the RJ have noticed some similarities between us and a certain BTS character, RJ.
Plus the latest in Las Vegas business, weather, health, and entertainment news. 7 at 7 streaming now on your smartphone.
I'm Beth Sewald with the Vegas Chamber, and we are at our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., on the Vegas Chamber's D.C. fly-in. I am so thrilled and honored to be here with Amanda Signorelli from the Golden Steer, small business in Las Vegas, awesome restaurant. Amanda, thanks so much for being with us here at the fly-in.
Thanks for putting this together. It's a unique opportunity, especially for us to have an opportunity to connect with this.
Absolutely. I know you get to see the Nevada delegation, policymakers, leaders from across the whole state. We've had a lot of policy and a lot of discussions today and panels. What's been your biggest takeaway?
So for me, the most informative and critical part was understanding the impact of tourism on the economy and on us, honestly, from a longer term view. What does it look like 5 years, 10 years? What are the verticals that we have to prioritize? And how does that change who we're going to reach as a customer as well? And what does that mean for the larger community? And it's been very helpful to hear not only I'd call it the more academic perspective, but also the tactical things that are being done by policymakers to move the needle forward and what's going to be required to do that. It's really helpful to get a full picture.
It is. And the other thing that's really helpful about the DC fly-in through the Vegas Chamber is the relationships that you make. I know we're only on our first day into the week here, but what's been your key, the biggest benefit you've seen so far?
Honestly, when I first read the attendee list, I was stunned. It was a ton of policymakers, those in public-private partnerships, the idea that you were actually connecting at the same level with some of these policymakers and advocates and thought leaders was a little intimidating, but incredibly exciting. And so for me, the biggest thing was knowing that everyone I've spoken to has said, what can we do? How does this impact you? And what does this mean? And I think that was pretty surprising to me that there was that welcoming perspective and that curiosity.
Well, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for being such a great part of our fly-in. Amanda Signorelli with the Golden Steer. Have a great week.
Thank you.
I'm Beth Sewald with the Vegas Chamber. We are here at our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., at the Vegas Chamber's annual fly-in. I am honored today to be with North Las Vegas Mayor Pamela Goynes-Brown. Mayor Goynes-Brown, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me here. I'm excited to see all the possibilities that we're going to learn about this week and just be an advocate for the state of Nevada.
Well, thank you for being here and thank you for your service. We've had several panels today. We've talked about tourism and economic development and labor and education. What's kind of been your biggest takeaway so far today?
Just learning about economic development and how that can benefit our region and our state and all the individual municipalities, and what's the best companies that we can attract to come to the state of Nevada.
Yeah, economic development has been a big topic of conversation here, and I know you are on the leading edge of that in North Las Vegas. Tell us what projects you have on the horizon.
Absolutely. Our industrial blueprint is just expanding so well in North Las Vegas, and we want to continue that, and then just offer local services, restaurants, and other services that our residents need just throughout the valley.
Well, excellent. Mayor Goynes-Brown, thank you again for all your service to our state, and have a great week here at the DC Fly-In.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. All right.
In celebration of the Las Vegas business community and your Vegas Chamber trustees, we proudly announce our new chair and the incoming board of trustees. Join us at the Wynn Las Vegas.
As humans, we're visual creatures. In fact, American adults spend nearly 6 hours each day watching video, and we're evolving and expanding across screens. Whether we're surfing the web at work, streaming our favorite show in a waiting room, or watching the game live at home, Cox Media's digital video solutions can deliver your business's message to consumers in a way that creates a meaningful connection and drives them to take action. Grow your business. Call Cox Media today.
I'm Beth Sewald with the Vegas Chamber. We are here at our nation's capital in Washington, D.C., and I'm very honored and pleased today to be with Congressman Mark Amodei. Congressman, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Mary Beth.
You know, I know you just spoke to our entire delegation, 250 strong people we have here from Nevada today. You talked about sort of the looming government shutdown. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's avoidable? And if so, how could we avoid it?
I think it'll be avoided. The question is, do you go with a problem solvers plan, which will be a blend of Republicans and Democrats, or do you go with, we're going to spend a few more days trying to see if we can round up enough Republican votes to go with the Republican plan? So one way or the other, I think we'll get there.
I think the implications are a little bit scary, so I'm glad you're so positive.
Well, but the other thing is if you've been around for a while, and no disrespect to people who this is their first experience through this, but after you've seen how the way it actually works a few times, it's like there are opportunities to move your issues forward, but it's not, we're going to do it all your way, and total victory and all that other sort of stuff. It's just not the nature of the beast. Not that you shouldn't try, because you'll make some progress, but there is nothing to be gained from shutting it down, incurring that expense, doing that disruption, and then basically having to start it up a week, a month later. And especially after COVID, where things were kind of hybrid shutdown, full shutdown, we don't need another practice for that.
Yeah, well, good luck with that. Thanks for all your leadership on that effort. So we appreciate your help with it.
We'll keep you informed.
Switching gears a little bit, you joked that there's a rumor about you introducing a public lands bill. That's a priority for us in Nevada. Talk to us about your bill.
Well, first of all, we don't write lands bills. Your planners and zoners, whether they're your Clark County Commission, your Las Vegas City Council, your Henderson City Council, your Elko County Commissioners, Carson City Supervisors, those are the people who should write lands bills because they are your planners and zoners. And so we've kept true to that, whether it's the Clark County piece or the Northern Nevada pieces. The other point where it's always a challenge for Nevada to go, when 80+% of your state is federal, when you want to grow and do things in accordance with whatever the vision of your local people are, you got to have federal lands in the mix. And so you recognize that over 2 decades ago in Southern Nevada with the Southern Nevada Public Lands Management Act. There have been other legislation in other counties. It's just a reality when, you know, the property owner for most of your state is the federal government. You got to go to the federal government to put that back under jurisdiction of local planners and zoners.
What are some of the key pieces of this legislation?
Well, it's been 22 years since SNPLMA was enacted, so you got to tune some stuff up. You folks have some stuff going on down south at Ivanpah for the airport. There's high-speed rail implications in all of that. There's what the vision is for growing for folks in Southern Nevada, as well as in the north. There's some protection for the Ruby Mountains, about 400,000 or 500,000 acres, which was originally Senator Cortez Masto's attempt to do. We didn't get it done last Congress with that stuff. So it's a mix. There's some wilderness in there where it's like, hey, everybody agrees this should be wilderness. There's economic development. There's flood control. There's school sites, rights of way for utilities and stuff like that. You've got some issues out in Apex and stuff like that. So it's a mix of everything that is traditional in land management, in responsible land management.
Okay, switching gears again, you recently launched the American Canadian Economy and Security Caucus. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
I actually had to read all of that. What does that mean for Nevada?
You know, to be honest with you, 3 or 4 years ago, the lady from the Canadian consulate in Southern California stops in when I'm home during a constituent work period into the Reno office and opens the meeting with Nevada for this region, her region that's out of LA that includes, 4 or 5 states, is the #1 export person or state in her region. And I this will be impressive. I'm like, really? So you start doing your homework or whatever, and it's like tremendous economic impact for Nevada businesses, and then back in reverse. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's a good relationship, it's working. And so when they said, we want, Democrats and Republicans to get on board with something like this, when your state's one of the major beneficiaries, it's like, yeah, we'll be part of that and work for that. And so we're looking for opportunities, increasing the communication, coordination between Canada and our region for, it's like, hey, where there are opportunities for people to grow, especially in a world that seems to be getting more and more white-knuckled about stuff, yay.
Well, and it's interesting because the Vegas Chamber was invited by Governor Lombardo to accompany that group on their trade mission to
That's right.
Canada
That's right.
next week as soon as we're finished with this fly-in. So what things would you like to see us accomplish or do while we're there with the governor?
Well, I think, first of all, having the baseline knowledge of, okay, so what is it that we're selling to them? Because that was one of my first questions, like ag products, mineral products, everything from soup to nuts, but knowing what those are so that you can then go, okay, so let's know what our folks who are supplying those things are doing in a way that we can enhance that positively in terms of not just cash flow, but jobs and other sorts of things, to where it's like, all right, let's see what we got. It's pretty good. How do we take it to the next level?
Great. Well, we'll be sure and take that advice and try to help out with the trip next week.
We'll look forward to talking to you when you get back.
What are some of your other priorities for Nevada in the near term?
Lands bills are a big deal in the real near term, which I define as before the end of 2023. Oversight stuff that we're doing right now, where federal agencies have attempted to take some stuff off the table in a way that we think is improper. Railroad Valley and Nye County is something that, quite frankly, we're in a pretty pitched battle with NASA over right now. And the ironic thing is, like, listen, if somebody applies to do something to ruin NASA's satellite tracking mission in Railroad Valley, then BLM ought to tell them no. Nobody's trying to degrade or disrespect their mission on their 2-acre piece. They don't need 22,500 acres to do that, as long as nobody. And by the way, there's already 14 oil wells in Railroad Valley. So it's like all things within reason, but We're engaged with the Department of Labor on going through some of their regulations in terms of what's your authority for this and what are you doing and what's the impact, and is it agenda driven or is it, hey, there's a problem here, we need to solve it. A lot of people think, well, what you do is vote. We also do constituent service and we also do oversight. And so we got a lot of oversight stuff doing. And then for 2024, if we move out just a little bit more, I think, if I could be an idiot, I think there's an opportunity to do at least some significant pieces for immigration reform after we get, the situation at the border now, I just think is untenable. People may say, oh, I can't believe you're saying that. It's like, well, yeah, I just do. If I miss something, let me know. But that still doesn't mean, since the last time we did immigration reform was Ronald Reagan, it's like, hey, it's overdue.
Well, Congressman Amodei, you have just been a tremendous partner for the Vegas Chamber. Your advocacy on behalf of small business is outstanding, and we appreciate your partnership.
Thank you for your willingness to work with whoever we throw at you. It's been a pleasure, and we'll continue doing it.
All right. Thanks again.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Mary Beth Sewald here at the Vegas Chamber Fly-In in Washington, D.C., and I'm here with Lori Nelson-Kraft from the LVCVA. Lori, thanks so much for being with us on the Fly-In.
I wouldn't miss it. It is the go-to event of the year.
Well, and you guys were the gracious hosts of our reception last night. It was the kickoff to the whole week. Tell us a little bit about the panel briefings that you've seen today and what's been your biggest takeaway?
The panels have been great today. I really enjoyed the media panel. I obviously loved the tourism panel with our CEO, Steve Pill. But it was really insightful to hear from a national perspective and drill down to how it impacts us locally. And I also thought the Labor Relations Board discussion was really a healthy discussion, and you're getting real conversations here and real perspective.
Well, speaking of real conversations, one of the things we try to do on our Washington, D.C. fly-in is to move the needle on some things that are really important to Southern Nevada and the entire state, frankly. So do you see any traction maybe tomorrow when we meet with the entire Nevada delegation?
I think the conversations with the Nevada delegation are incredibly important, and I think the entire 250 of us that are here have a real opportunity to share what's happening. They were boots on the ground in August, but for us to rally together on those important issues, it really has a ripple effect long term for all of us of these discussions.
Well, Lori Nelson-Kraft from the LVCVA, thank you so much for being with us on the Washington, D.C. fly-in. Have a great week.
You too, Mary Beth. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Like Nobody's Business. I'm Mary Beth Sewald. From all of us here at the Vegas Chamber, thank you for watching.
At it again in 110, and the fire's just starting to burn. There ain't no keeping us down.